Welcome everyone to my cooking show. I'm of course Bruce, and today we have a nice blue light, isn't it? Yeah. Brownies. Can't fucking read this thing. Whatever, man. It calls for unsweet. I'm sorry, Sal. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Stick of butter and a bit of chocolate afterwards. I'll do that. A quarter teaspoon of baking soda. Out of all the goddamn things that could have happened this year, why did Stephen Hawking have to die? I mean, Jesus Christ! Well, at least he was 76, and not, well, like 2 years ago, when like three people died, and they were all 69 years old. And I'm glad he didn't die 7 years ago. At least we'll join him now in the cosmos, or moreover. I like the story that he told on the John Oliver show. The story was, there was a group of scientists that made a machine that can answer any of the world's questions. First question they asked it was, is there a God? And the lightning bolt struck the outlet, and the machine never turned off. And the machine said, there is now. And now, I grease this pan, and yeah, whatever. Okay, next we wait for the unsweetened, we wait for this to cool, and we add eggs, one at a time, fuck that, and then vanilla, and then flour, baking soda, and I can do sugar too. Oh, might as well do sugar. How much sugar? Sugar. A cup of sugar. Anton sugar. This recipe is not going to want. One. About two. Good. I'm dying over here. Well, since I'm impatient, I'll just add the eggs now. Since it's supposed to be a cooled, but I do things quickly, so I don't have to wait, First try, I've never done that before, that's crazy. Vanilla, there we go. Watkins vanilla. Oh, I added mint, that's what it was. Oh, you haven't seen the flour and baking soda mix? Oh boy, well, here it is. Alright, fine, good. And just a few more stirs here, and that's it. That's all the That's the brownies. Now we put it into a little. Then we put it into a pan. Here, I'll put it closer to you. Then I'll put into this greased pan, which I should have shown you if I didn't. There's a short clip. Remind me, and I need to. Just pour it right in. Just pour it right in. And now we put this into the oven for 30 minutes or so. I'll see you in 30 minutes. And now, a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley. I weep for Adonai, he is dead. Oh, weep for Adonai, though our tears thaw not the frost which binds so dear a head. And thou said, sad hour, selected from all years to mourn our loss, ruse thy obscure compeers, and teach them thine own sorrow. Say, with me died Adonai, till the future dares forget the past. His fate and fame shall be an echo and a light unto eternity. Where wert thou, mighty mother, where he lay, when thy son lay, pierced by the shaft which flies in darkness? Where was lorn Urania when Adonai died, with veiled eyes mid listening echoes in her paradise? She sate, while one with soft enamored breath rekindled all the fading melodies, with which, like flowers that mock the corse beneath, he had adorned and hid the coming bulk of death. Oh, weep for Adonai, he is dead. Wake, melancholy mother, wake and weep. Yet wherefore quench within the burning bed thy fiery tears, and let thy loud heart keep, like his, a mute and uncomplaining sleep. For he is gone, where all things wise and fair descend. O dream not that the amorous deep will yet restore him to the vital air. Death feeds on his mute voice and laughs at our despair. Most musical of mourners, weep again. Lament anew, Urania, he died, who was the sire of an immortal strain, blind, old, and lonely when his country's pride, the priest, the slave, and the trampled and mocked with many a loathed rite of lust and blood, he went unterrified into the gulf of death, but his clear sprite yet reigns o'er the earth, the third among the sons of light. Most musical of mourners, weep anew, not all to that bright station dod to climb, and happier they their happiness who knew, whose tapers yet burn through that night of time, in which suns perished, others more sublime. Well, that rhymes. Struck by the envious wrath of man, O God, have sunk extinct in the refulgent prime, and some yet live, threading the thorny road, which leads through toil and hate to fame's serene abode. But now thy youngest, dearest one has perished, the nursling of thy widowhood, who grew like a pale flower by some sad maiden cherished, and fed with true love tears instead of dew. Most musical of mourners, weep anew. Thy extreme hope, the loveliest and the last, the bloom whose petals nipped before they blew, died on the promise of the fruit, is waste. The broken lily lies, the storm is overpast. To that capital, high capital, where kingly death keeps his pale court in beauty and decay, he came and brought with price of purest breath a grave among the eternal. Come away, haste while the vault of blue Italian day is yet his fitting charnel roof, while still he lies as if dewy sleep he'll lay. Awake him not, surely he takes his fill of deep and liquid rest, forgetful of all ill. We will awake no more, oh, nevermore. Within the twilight chamber spreads apace the shadow of white death, and at the door invisible corporation waits to trace his extreme way to her dim dwelling place. The eternal hunger sits, but pity and awe soothe her pale rage, nor dares she to the face so fair a prey, till darkness and the law of change shall o'er his sleep the mortal curtain draw. O weep for Adonai, the quick dreams, the passion-winged ministers of death, who were his flocks, whom near the living streams of his young spirit he fed, and whom he taught the love which was its music. Wander not, wander no more, whence they sprung, and mourn their lot round the cold heart, where after their sweet pain they ne'er will gather strength or find a home again. And one with trembling hands clasps his cold head, and fans him with her moonlight wings, and cries, our love, our hope, our sorrow is not dead. See on the silken fringe of his faint eyes, like dew upon a sleeping flower, there lies the tears some dream has loosened from his brain, lost angel of a ruined paradise. She knew not 'twas her own, as with no stain she faded, like a cloud which has outwept its rain, and from a lucid urn of starry dew washed his light limbs, as if embalming them. Another clipped for her profuse locks, and threw the wreath upon him, like an anadem, which frozen tears instead of pearls begin. Another in her wilful grief would break her bow, and winged reeds would break her bow and winged reeds, as if to stem a greater loss, but one which was more weak, and dull the barbed fire against his frozen cheek. Another splendor in his mouth alit, that mouth, alit, that's funny, that mouth whence it was wont to draw its breath, which gave it strength to pierce the unguarded wit, and pass into panting heart beneath, with lightning and with music, the damp breath, which gave it strength to pierce the guarded wit, and pass into the panting heart beneath, with lightning and with music, the damp death quenched its caress upon his icy lips. And as a dying meteor stains a wreath of moonlight vapor, which the cold night clips, it flushed through his pale limbs and passed to its eclipse. And others came. And others came, desires and adorations, winged persuasions and veiled destinies, splendors and glooms, and glimmering incarnations of hopes and fears, and twilight fantasies, and sorrow with a family of sighs, and pleasure blind with tears, led with the gleam of her own dying smile instead of eyes. Came in slow pomp, the moving pomp might seem like pageantry of mist on an autumnal stream. All he had loved and molded into thought, from shape and hue and odor and sweet sound, lamented Adonai. Morning sought her eastern watchtower, and her hair unbound, wet with the tears which should adorn the ground, dimmed the aerial eyes that kindle day. Afar the melancholy thunder moaned, pale ocean in unquiet slumber lay, and the wild winds flew round, sobbing in this dismay. Lost Echo sits amid the voiceless mountains, and feeds her grief with his remembered lay, and will no more reply to winds of fountains, or of morris birds perched on the young green spray, or herdsmen's horns of bell at closing day. Since he can mimic not his lips more dear than those for whose disdain she pinned away into a shadow of all sounds, a drear murmur between their songs, is all the woodmen hear. Grief made the young spring wild, and she threw down her kindling buds, as if she autumn were. I'm going to stop here. Number 16. Grief made the young spring wild, and she threw down her kindling buds as if she autumn were, or they dead leaves, since her delight is flown. From whom should she have walked the sullen year? The Phoebus was not Hyacinth so dear, nor to himself Narcissus, as to both thou, Adonai, when they stand and stare amid the faint companions of her youth. Weird old English, I don't get it. With dew all turned to tears, odor to sighing ruth. Thy spirit's sister, the lorn nightingale, mourns not her mate with such melodious pain. Not so the eagle, who like thee could scale heaven, but who could nourish in the sun's domain her mighty youth with mourning, doth complain, soaring and screaming round her empty nest, as Albion wails for thee, the curse of Cain light on his head, who pierced thy innocent breast, and scarred the angel's soul that was its earthly guest. Ah, woe is me! Winter is come and gone, but grief returns with the revolving year. The airs and streams review the joyous tone. The ants, the bees, the swallows reappear. Fresh leaves and flowers deck the dead season's the air. The amorous birds now pair in every brake, and build their mossy homes in field and drear. And the green lizard and the golden snake, like unimprisoned flames, out of their trance awake. Through wood and stream, the field and hill and ocean, a quickening life from the earth's heart has burst as it has ever done, with change and motion from the great morning of the world, when first God dawned on chaos, and its stream immersed the lamps of heaven, flash with a softer light. All baser things pant with life, life's sacred thirst, diffuse themselves and spend in love's delight, the beauty and the joy of their renewed might. The leprous corpse, touched by the spirit tender, exhales itself in flowers of gentle breath. Like incarnations of the stars, when splendor is changed to fragrance, they illuminate death, and mock the merry worm that wakes beneath. Not we know dies. Shall that alone which knows be as a sword consumed before the sheath by sightless lightning? The intense atom glows a moment, then is quenched in a most cold repose. Alas, that all we loved of him should be, but for our grief, as if it had not been, and grief itself be mortal. Woe is me! Whence are we, and why are we? Of what seem the actors of spectators? Great and mean, meek-masked in death, who lends what life must borrow. As long as skies are blue, the fields are green. Evening must usher night, night urge the morrow. Month follow month with woe, and year wait year to sorrow. He will wake no more, oh nevermore. Wake thou, cried Misery, childless mother, rise out of thy sleep and slip in thy heart's core, a wound more fierce than his, with tears and sighs, and all the dreams that watched at Urania's eyes, and all the echoes whom their sister's song had held in holy silence, cried, Arise! Swift as a thought by the snake memory stung, from her ambrosial rest the fading splendor sprung. She rose like an autumnal wind that springs out of the east, and follows wild and drear the golden day, which on eternal wings, even as a ghost abandoning a briar, I don't fucking know, had left the earth a corpse. Sorrow and fear so struck, so roused, a rapt Urania, so saddened round her. Oh, by the way, Urania is a name. So saddened round her like an atmosphere of stormy mist, so swept her on her way, even to the mournful place where Adonai lay. Out of her secret paradise she sped through camps and cities rough with stone and steel, and human hearts which to her airy tread, yielding not, wounded the invisible palms of her tender feet wherever they fell. Jesus Christ. Fucking old Englishmen. And barbed tongues and thoughts more sharp than they rent the soft form they never could repel, whose sacred blood, like the young tears of May, paved with eternal flowers with undeserving way. In the death chamber for a moment death, shammed by the presence of that living might, blushed to annihilation, and a breath revisited those lips, and life's pale light flashed through those limbs, so late her dear delight. Leave me not wild and drear and comfortless, as sightless as silent lightning leaves the starless night. Leave me not, cried Urania. Her distressed, bruised death. Death rose and smiled and met her vain caress. Stay yet awhile, speak to me once again. Kiss me so long, but as a kiss may live, and in my heartless breast and burning brain, that word, that kiss, shall all thoughts else survive, with food of saddest memory kept alive. Now thou art dead, as if it were part of thee, my Adonai. This is about Adonai. I would give all that I am to be as thou now art, but I am chained to time, and cannot thence depart. O gentle child, beautiful as thou wert, why didst thou leave the trodden paths of men too soon, with weak hands, though mighty heart, there the unpastured dragon in his den, defenseless as thou wert? O where was then wisdom, the mirrored shield, or scorn the spear? Or hadst thou waited the full cycle, when thy spirit should have filled its crescent sphere, the monsters of life's waste had fled from thee like deer. I'm going to stop on number 28. Number 28. The herded wolves, bold only to pursue, the obscene ravens, clamorous over the dead, the vultures to the conqueror's banner true, who fed where desolation first has fed, on whose wings rained contagion, how they fled, when like Apollo from his golden bow, the Pythian of the age one arrow sped, and smiled. The spoilers tempt no second blow, they fawn on the proud feet that spurn them lying below. The sun comes forth and many reptiles spawn, he sets, and each ephemeral insect then is gathered into death without a dawn. And the immortal stars awake again. So is it in the world of living men, a godlike mind soars forth in its delight, making earth bare and veiling heaven. and when it sinks, the swarms that dimmed or shared its light, leave to its kindred lamps the spirit's awful night. Thus seized she, and the mountain shepherds came, their garlands sere, their kingdom mantles rent, the pilgrim of eternity, whose fame over his living head like heaven is bent, an early but enduring monument, came veiling all the lightnings of his song in sorrow from her ascent. Iron sent the sweetest lyrist of her saddest song, and love taught grief to fall like music from his tongue. Midst others of less note came from frail form, a phantom among men, companionless, as the last cloud of an expiring storm, whose thunder is its knell. He, as I guess, had gazed on nature's naked loveliness, Actaeon like, and now he fled astray with feeble steps over the world's wilderness, and his own thoughts along that rugged way pursue like raging hounds their fathers and their prey. Number 32. The pard-like spirit, beautiful and swift, a love in desolation, masked, a power girt round with weakness, it can scarce uplift the weight of the superincumbent hour. It is a dying lamp, a falling shower, a breaking billow, even whilst we speak, is it not broken? On the withering flower, the killing sun smiles brightly. On a cheek, the life can burn in blood, even while the heart may break. His head was bound with pansies overblown, and faded violets, white and pied and blue. And the light spirit topped with a cypress cone, round whose rude shaft dark ivy tresses grew, yet dripping with the forest's noonday dew, vibrated as the ever-beating heart shook the weak hand that grasped it. Of that crew he came the last, neglected and apart. A herd abandoned deer, struck by the hunter's dart. 34. All stood aloof, and at his partial moan smiled through his tears. Well knew that gentle band who in another's fate now wept his own. As in the accents of an unknown land he sung new sorrow, sad Urania scanned the stranger's mind and murmured, "Who art thou?" He answered not, but with a sudden hand made bare his branded and enswangen brow, which was like Cain's or Christ's. Oh, that it should be so! What softer voice is hushed over the dead? Athwart that brow is that dark metal throne. What form leans sadly over the white deathbed in mockery of monumental stone? The heavy heart heaving without a moan, if it be he who gentlest of the wise, taught, soothed, loved, honored the departed one. Let me not vex with inharmonious sighs the silence of that heart's accepted sacrifice. Our Adonai has drunk poison. Oh! What deaf and viperous murderer could crown life's early cup with such a draught of woe? The nameless worm were now itself disowned. It felt yet would escape the magic tone whose prelude held in envy, hate and wrong. But what was howling in one breast alone, silent with expectation of the song, whose master's hand is cold, whose silver lyre unstrung? Live thou, whose infamy is not thy fame. Live! Fear no heavier chastisement from me, thou noteless blot on a remembered name. But be thyself, and know thyself to be, and ever at thy season be thou free, who spill the venom when thy fangs overflow. Remorse and self-contempt shall cling to thee. Hot shame shall burn upon thy secret brow, and like a beaten hound, tremble thou shalt as now. Nor let us weep that our delight is fled far from these carrion kites that scream below. He wakes or sleeps with the enduring dead. Thou canst not soar, where he is sitting now. Dust to dust. But the pure spirit shall flow back to the burning fountain whence it came, a portion of the eternal which must glow through time and change, unquenchably the same. Whilst thy cold embers choke the sordid hearth of shame, peace, peace, he is not dead, he doth not sleep, he hath awakened from the dream of life. 'Tis we who, lost in stormy visions, kept with phantoms and unprofitable strife, and in mad trance strike with our spirit's knife invulnerable nothings. We decay like corpses in a charnel. Fear and grief convulse us and consume us day by day, and cold hopes swarm like worms within our living day. Number 40. He has outsoared the shadow of our night. Envy and calumny and hate and pain, and that unrest which men miscall delight, can touch him not and torture not again, from the contagion of the world's slow stain. He is secure, and now he can never mourn, a heart grown cold, a head grown grey in vain. Nor, when the spirit's self has ceased to burn, with sparkless ashes floated on a lamented urn. 41. He lives, he wakes, 'tis death is dead, not he. Mourn not for Adonai, thou young dawn. Turn all thy dew to splendor, for from thee the spirit thou lamentest is not gone. Ye caverns and ye forests, cease to moan. Cease, ye faint flowers and fountains, and thou air, which like a morning veil thy scarf hadst thrown over the abandoned earth. Now leave it bare, even to the joyous stars which smile on its despair. He is made one with nature. There is heard his voice in all her music, from the moan of thunder to the song of night's sweet bird. He is a presence to be felt and known in darkness and in light, from herb and stone, spreading itself wherever that power may move, which has withdrawn his being to its own, which wields the world with never wearied love, sustains it from beneath, and kindles it above. He is a portion of the loveliness which once he had more lovely. He doth bear his part, while the one spirit's plastic stress sweeps through the dull, dense world, compelling there all new successions to the forms they wear, torturing the unwilling dross that checks its flight to its own likeness, as each mass may bear, and bursting in its beauty and its might from trees and beasts and men into the heavens' light. 44. The splendors of the firmament of time may be eclipsed, but are extinguished not. Like stars to their appointed height they climb, and death is a low mist which cannot blot the brightness it may veil. When lofty thought lifts a young heart above its mortal lair, and love and life contendeth for what shall be its earthly doom, The dead live there, and move like winds of light on dark and stormy air. 45. Oh, fuck. The inheritors of the unfulfilled renown rose from their thrones, built beyond mortal thought, far in the unapparent. Chatterton rose pale, his solemn agony had not yet faded from him. Sydney, as he thought, and as he fell, and as he lived and loved, sublimely mild, a spirit without spot, a rose, a Lucan, by his death approved, oblivion as they rose, shrank like a thing reproved. And many more, whose names on earth were dark, but whose transmitted effluence cannot die, so long as fire outlives the parent spark. Rose robbed in dazzling immortality, thou art become as one of us, they cry. It was for thee, young kingless sphere has long swung blind in unascended majesty. Silent alone amid a heaven of song, assume thy winged throne, thou vesper of our throng. 47. Who mourns for Adonai? O come forth, fond wretch, and know thyself and him aright. Clasp with thy painting soul the pendulous earth, as from a centre. Dart thy spirit's light beyond all words, until its spacious might satiate the void circumference. They shrink even to a point within our day and night, and keep thy heart light, lest it might make thee sink, and when hope has kindled hope, and lured thee to the brink. Or go to Rome, which is the sepulchre, oh, not of him, but of our joy. 'Tis not that ages, empires, and religions there lie buried in the ravage they have wrought. That's W.R. For such as he can lend, they borrow not glory from those who made the world their prey, and he is gathered to the kings of thought, whose wage contention with their time's decay. And of the past are all that cannot pass away. 49. Go thou to Rome, at once the paradise, the grave, the city, and the wilderness, and where it vex like shattered mountains rise, and flowering weeds, and fragrant copses dressed, the bones of desolation's nakedness pass, till the spirit of the spot shall lead thy footsteps to a slope of green access, where like an infant smile over the dead, a light of laughing flowers along the grass is spread. Number 50. And grey walls moulder round, on which dull time feeds, like slow fire upon a hoary brand. That's Hoary. And one keen pyramid with wedge sublime, pavilioning the dust of him who planned his refuge for his memory, doth stand like flame transformed to marble, and beneath, a field is spread on which a newer band have pitched in heaven's smile their camp of death, while welcoming him we lose his scarce extinguished breath. Here pause, these graves are all too young as yet to have outgrown the sorrow which consigned its charge to each, as if the seal is set. Here on one fountain of a mourning mind, break it not thou. Too surely shalt thou find thine own well full, if thou returnest home of tears and gall from the world's bitter wind. Seek shelter in the shadow of the tomb. What Adonai is, why fear we to become? The one remains, the many changes and pass. Heaven's light forever shines, earth's shadows fly. Life, like a dome of many-colored glass, I'm going to speed up real quick, stains the white radiance of eternity until death tramples it to the fragments. Die, if thou wouldst be within which thou dost seek. Follow where all is fled, Rome's azure sky. Flowers, ruins, statues, music, words are weak. The glory they transfuse with fitting truth to speak. 53. Why linger? Why turn back? Why shrink, my heart? Thy hopes are gone before that from all things here. They have departed, thou shouldst now depart. Light is past from the revolving year. Man and woman, and what still is dear, attracts to crush, repels to make thee wither. The soft sky smiles, and low wind whispers near. 'Tis Adonai calls, O hasten thither. Thither? Oh, hasten thither. Thither. The fuck? No more left life to divide, what death can join together. That light whose smile kindles the universe. That beauty in which all things work and move. That benediction which the eclipsing curse of birth can quench not. That sustaining love which through the web of being blindly wove by man and beast and earth and air and sea burns bright or dim as each are mirrors of the fire of for which all thirst now beams on me, consuming the last clouds of cold mortality. The breath whose might I have invoked in song descends on me. My skies bark and is driven far from the shore, far from the trembling throng whose sails, whenever to be tempest given, the massy earth and sphered skies are riven. I am borne darkly, fearfully afar, whilst burning through the inmost veil of heaven, the soul of Adonai, like a star, beacons from the abode where the eternal are. Brownies. Fresh out of the oven. If anybody wants the recipe, leave a comment down below right now. Oh, it's terrific. Good. And there we go. Perfect. It broke. Because it's not cooled down enough. That's fine. And there you go. Nice little brownies. Not little, actually, they're pretty big. Anybody for watching? Hope you enjoy the intermission. I'll watch next time as I read another poem. For fuck's sake, I can't believe I'm fucking